And as I stated earlier, the name of this webinar is Leveraging Teams with Project Sites. Now, going into this, putting this presentation together, I had to make a couple of assumptions. I had to assume that you're at least vaguely familiar with Project Online and perhaps Project Sites, and at least vaguely familiar with Teams, with Microsoft Teams. We're going to focus a little bit more on Teams than we will on Project Sites, and I'll explain that to you a little bit more as we go. But please keep in mind that if there's anything at all that you want more information on, or you would like to see a more in-depth demo on different features, we are always open to the opportunity to share that with you and help walk your organization through how these tools might benefit you. So our agenda for today, we will start with some very brief introductions. I want to tell you a little bit about who we are as a company, tell you just a bit about who I am and why I'm here talking to you about Project Sites and Project Teams, or sorry, Microsoft Teams. I want to make sure you understand the key usage scenarios for PPM. Although we're not going to spend a lot of time in Project Online, we are going to look at those project sites, and I just wanted to review those with you just in case there are a couple of you who maybe aren't as familiar with Project Online. We'll talk about working with project sites, and then we'll focus on working within Microsoft Teams. Once we have looked at those individually, we will combine them, and I'll show you some of the ways that you can work with your project sites through your Microsoft Teams applications. So to start the introductions, my name is Cindy Moore. I live in Houston, Texas. It says here that I have more than 20 years of experience with Microsoft PPM. I think I really need to change that because I think that perhaps ages me just a little bit. But I've been working with projects, Project Online, Project Server, even all the way back to Project Central for more than 20 years now. I love what I do. It's a lot of fun getting to help organizations understand how these tools can help them get more visibility into what's happening with their projects, and also just help them get a better grasp on managing those projects and the resources that go along with them. I would love it if you would connect with me on LinkedIn. You can see down here in the bottom left how to connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter, and then my email address at PPM Works. If you'd like a copy of this slide presentation, all you'll have to do is send an email out to info@ppmworks.com, and we would be happy to provide you with the slides. So before we talk about what we do as a company, and I promise we'll just spend a couple of minutes on that, I do want to take a few minutes and focus on the key usage scenarios for Microsoft PPM. Again, those of you who may already be using Project Server or Project Online, I'm going to ask you to bear with me for a couple of moments. This is really geared towards the people who maybe aren't as experienced or haven't had as much exposure. So there are 4 key usage scenarios, 4 main reasons why we see people moving to Microsoft PPM. One, and probably the most obvious, is project management, being able to plan and track your projects, and especially the visibility with the reporting that you can get through Project Online. Resource management is another big one. I cannot tell you how many clients, in fact, I would say probably 4 out of 5 clients, one of their biggest reasons for moving to Microsoft PPM is resource management. They want a better way to see who's doing what and when they're doing it, and when they're going to be available to do something else, so that you know when projects can be completed. A third usage scenario is overall portfolio management. And this kind of walks you through the process of selecting your projects. You know, you'll determine, and all of this is out-of-the-box features within the tool, you determine what your strategic goals and drivers are, your business drivers. And then it allows you to use that information to do some prioritization and selection. So you have all these ideas for projects, and now you have the ability to rank those projects and even determine which selection of projects will give me the biggest bang for my buck. Which one is going to give me the greatest overall strategic value? And then finally, the collaboration. And the collaboration is huge in Project Online and Project Server. And it's also huge in Teams, which is why we like to bring the two of these together and show you how you can get your resources working on their project sites through Teams and what the benefits are of doing that. So as an organization, PPM Works, we're a Microsoft Gold PPM partner. We are experts. All of our consultants have been doing this for, I would say, at least 15 years, probably more than that. And we have extensive experience not only deploying Project Online, but also doing migrations from Project Server from one instance to another, or from Project Server into Project Online as well. And the last thing I'll tell you about our consulting services before we get into our learning objectives and the reason we're here today, we provide training. So with all of our projects, we always provide role-based training at the end, but we will also come on site or offer remote classes. These are especially helpful with Microsoft project tips and tricks and kind of getting back to basics with scheduling, as well as incorporating any of the Office 365 apps and Project Online as well. We offer the services to help you with the implementations. We'll come in and help you determine what are your needs, because a lot of times clients will come to us and they have this idea of what they want. And what they want is not necessarily inaccurate, but it's often incomplete. And so we work with organizations to identify what are the real needs that you have, what are the underlying needs, and how can we design this tool, this solution, and configure it to meet all of those needs. And as we do that, we're not focusing just on Project Online. We are focusing on all of the Office 365 apps. Teams, of course, being one of the bigger ones that we focus on. So for our learning objectives today, they're very simple. We're going to keep this very straightforward. I want to make sure you understand how project sites work and in general what they are, if you're not very familiar with them. I want you to see how Teams work, and I want you to see all the cool things that you can do with Microsoft Teams. And then finally, how to pull the two together. And I'll show you how simple, how easy it is for you to take something from your project site and make it visible and in some cases even editable within Teams. Before we go into the demo, I'm going to talk to you maybe 2 or 3 slides. I want to go over a couple of things with you, and then we'll spend the rest of our time together today in the demo walking you through Teams and project sites. So when it comes to project sites, a couple of things to know. When you have a project in Project Online, it will always have its very own dedicated project site, which is basically a SharePoint site. Some of the things that you can do on that SharePoint site out of the box, you can easily track project risks and issues. You can customize the information you track about your risks and issues. You can keep all of your documents in one central location, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of that. Really the biggest pros of keeping your documents here as opposed to keeping them in Teams is if you're going to have external people from your organization, let's say you're working with a client, you want your client to have access to a lot of the project information and some of the project documents, but maybe not all of it. Maybe there are some things you're still working on, you don't want them to see yet. So you can keep those documents in the project site and also have documents in Teams that would be available for everyone. Project sites are great for anyone who has a license for Project Online, whether it's an executive or a team member, a project manager. Typically, your project managers, resource managers, and team members would be the ones who would be in the project site more often than anyone else. Executives typically wouldn't go into that level of detail, but I'm going to show you how they can get great visibility into those projects through the team site in just a few minutes. So working with project sites is really geared towards people who have a license for Project Online, and anyone who's part of that project team has access to that site by default. When it comes to working with teams, one of the things that you're able to do is gain very quick access to any of those lists from your project sites. So remember I said that you can track your risks or your issues. Well, you can make those visible within Teams, and you can actually go in and add issues and risks and track them and update there as well. You can also provide quick access to reports. It can give you visibility into the project for people who do not have Project Online licenses. Again, the use case for that is, as a consulting firm, I work with a lot of different clients, and all of my clients, in fact, none of my clients are going to have licenses to log in to my Project Online environment where I keep my project schedules and do my timesheets and things of that nature. But if I wanted my client to have some access to project information, they don't have to have a license to get added to the team, the Microsoft team. So they would be able to collaborate and add information that way. It's great for executives who really just want the big picture and maybe want to look at some reports. Any stakeholders without Project Online licenses, or any client that you want to share project information with, but not give them full access, as I said before, to all of the project information. So what happens when we take project sites and we couple them with Microsoft Teams? I'm going to show you how you can easily access those lists, how you can look at the reports, and then just for fun, I added my timesheet to one of the teams as well. We live and breathe in Project Online, and we fill out timesheets every week. We generate invoices from that, and reports and status reports and everything from there. So what I've shown you here below, this is just a screenshot of Teams, and you can see that I've got some reports. You can see that I have an issues log. That issues log is the issues list that came from the project site. So we're going to go into the demo now. I'm going to show you the project sites. I'm going to move around there, show you what you can do. I will go into Teams and show you what the basic functionality is of Teams. And then I'll start adding, or I'll show you what I've already added, and then I'll add some new lists to the various project teams for you as well. So the first thing we're going to do is start in Project Online. Now, again, for those of you who might be new to Project Online, I'll just give you a very brief overview here. So here's the list of all the projects that I have permission to view. The security model is quite robust in Project Online, and you can really limit who can see and who can do what within the organization. I'm going to open this project called MedStrong. And again, I'm not going to walk through all of the different buttons and clicks everywhere. I basically want you to get the main idea of what's done here. You've got various detail pages. You can see the project schedule if a schedule is associated with this particular project. You can even go in and edit the schedule here in Project Online. But what we're interested in today is the project site. So I'm going to click over here on Project Site, and this is the individual SharePoint site that is created specifically for this one project. So if I come down here and click on Issues, for example, I can see the list of all the issues. I want to point out that the last issue is issue number 9. Now I'm pointing that out because in a little bit we're going to go in and change that. We're going to add a new issue through Teams, and then we'll come back here just so I can show you that it really did update the information back here where it was supposed to. You have a section for documents. You can create libraries. You can add folders here. This is a great place to keep documents that you want to keep visible only to your immediate project team and not to everyone in the world who may have access to the Teams site through Microsoft Teams. So when I say everyone on your team, I'm talking about your project team. You want these documents to be kept to your project team. You also have a section for risks, and I've just opened that over here. You can see the new risks as well. And either of these, or both of them, you can link back to Teams so that you're able to easily go in and edit them. All right, so that's your project site, your home page. You've got your issues, your risks. And again, for those of you who may not be aware, keep in mind that you can have custom lists here as well. Common ones are change requests. People will keep a SharePoint list here of different change requests that they want to manage throughout the site. All right, let's go take a look at Teams now. I'm going to pull up Teams, and you can see the various teams that I have listed over here. I created 2 teams for this demo. The first one, webinar teams and project sites, you can see here. We always start on the general tab. Now these are called channels. It took me a while to get used to that. These are channels, so general is a channel, meetings is a channel, and reports is a channel. Up here at the top, you can see the first tab is conversations. So right now, we're not looking at anything that has anything at all to do with project sites. We are only looking at Microsoft Teams. You'll notice right here that I came in and I titled this one Change Request 001, and I asked a couple of my team members, hey, do you have time to draft a change request for our client today? Laura gets the notification, Jenny gets the notification, and then one of them responds and says, sure, I can do that, and then add it to Teams. What's the benefit there? Well, the benefit there is you've probably just reduced your inbox by 10 emails. Because what's likely to happen? I send out an email to Laura and Jenny asking if anyone has time to draft the change request. And then maybe Laura responds to all and she says, sure, I can do it later. And then Jenny responds to all and says, great, thanks. I have, such and such going on. And Laura responds to all and says, no problem. And I'm picking on my team members and my colleagues here, but you get the idea. It reduces the amount of email that you have to deal with every day. And I don't know about you, but I welcome any reduction in email that I can possibly get. So you can reply to these various conversations. You can come in and like something so you don't have to go in and respond, and say, thanks for doing that. Or you can come in and, say that you like it, you get it. You've also got stickers and GIFs. I'm not going to go through and show you all of those because we would be here forever. I enjoy those way too much. I do want to show you though, I recently learned that if you wanted to start a new conversation, right below that where it says format, I can add a subject to the conversation. So I'm just going to say new subject, if I can type correctly. And then notice, now I was typing in Jacques' name. Jacques is not coming up for me here because Jacques is not added to this particular team within Microsoft Teams. You get to go in and add the team members that you want. So if I started to type Jenny, I would see Jenny there. Or if I started to type Laura, I would see Laura there. If you want to add people to the team, first of all, if you want to create the team, if you look down here in the bottom left, join or create a team, and then you would create the team. I'm not going to go through and do it because as you can see, I've got quite a few of them over here already. Once the team is created, adding people is not a difficult thing to do at all. Click on add more people. Now here's where it gets interesting. You don't have to select people from within your group. So for example, if I wanted to invite someone as a guest, I can invite someone as a guest. Now I'm not really going to click add and then click close because it would generate an email out to this individual and he would probably wonder what in the heck was going on. But you get the idea. You can add as many people as you'd like. So this is a great way where you can add clients or people who are external to the organization or anyone who is external to Project Online and maybe doesn't have a license for Project Online. So let's look now at what you can do from a meeting standpoint, because this is something that I really like as well. Notice I have a section here called meetings. And you can see that I've scheduled a meeting. I did that this morning when I was prepping for this webinar. If I come over to my calendar and I come down here and say schedule a meeting, it allows me to choose a channel that I want to schedule that meeting in. So if I come down here to webinars and I say I want to schedule this in meetings and click schedule, and then I wait patiently. So now I've got a new meeting set up in there. If I come up here to meeting notes, I've got a section where I can keep notes on all of those meetings, and you can go right from the meeting invitation. You can go right from the meeting invitation. You can create a space where you can chat with the participants, anyone that you've invited to this particular meeting. And then you also have that place where you can go in and take any meeting notes. You can add as many of those as you need to as well. All right, so that is a very high-level overview of Teams. And again, if you want more information, we can certainly take a deeper dive with you within your organization. But now I'd like to show you how you can work with those project sites and Teams coupled together. So we've already looked at some of the different tabs up here. We've got meeting notes, files. It's a place where you can store documents. And again, anyone who has access to the team can have access to those documents as well. Now I want to look at the issues log. Now this is the issues log that we looked at earlier. Remember, I told you, remember that there were 9 issues because we're going to go back, we're going to create a new one, and I want to show you that it updates. I'm going to put this in quick edit mode simply because it's my favorite way to add issues or risks or pretty much any SharePoint list. And since I'm feeling as creative as I was earlier, we'll just go ahead and call this one issue 10. I'm going to assign this one to Jacques. And then you can go in and set your defaults or copy them down or make your selections, whatever you need to do. So as a team member on this project, I'm working in here, maybe I'm in a conversation, I'm looking at a file, taking meeting notes. While we're in the meeting, an issue comes up that we need to track, and we want to track that issue on that project site. I can come in here and enter the issue, capture whatever information I need to for the issue, and be confident that it is also being updated on that project site. So to show you that, we're going to go back over to the project site. We're going to go to issues. And there you go. You can see that issue 10 has been created. So maybe you're wondering now, well, okay, that's fantastic. We can go in, we can make those edits, but how hard is it to configure that? How hard is it to make all of that work together? It's not hard at all. So I have opened the risks area, the risks page for this same project. And I'm going to come up here and copy the URL for the risks. And then I'm going to jump back over into Teams. I'm going to come up here so you can see the risks log is already there. But to get it there, all you have to do is use that little plus sign. And now you can see that your entire world has just opened up because you have lots of different apps that you can work with. I am going to add this one as a website, and I'll call it risks, and paste my link. Posting to the channel is just going to send out a general message on that conversation tab, letting people know that it has been added here. And so again, we can come in and edit this list and make any changes or add any risks that we need to add as well. And I will go ahead and stop editing that. Another thing that's nice about giving people access to Teams when they don't necessarily have access to Project Online is the ability to view reports. Now, when it comes to viewing reports, depending on how your reports are created and whether or not they're published and whether or not you're using licensed versions of Power BI, it can get a little bit tricky. I don't want to send the wrong message and tell you that it's just a click of a couple of buttons and it magically shows up. Because in order to see the reports, people have to have the right kind of access. What I have done here, just to give you an example of what it can look like, I created And now these are customer reports. And so what I had to do for the status report, for example, I put it into a Word document just so you can see what it looks like. But you'll notice I've kind of grayed out or blurred out the different names here. And so that's why I didn't have it live here and instead just had it pasted into a Word document so that I would have the ability to blur it and people wouldn't be able to see, obviously, the details. So this is a report. That's part of the Microsoft Report Pack. One of the things that we do for almost all of our clients is connect the report pack and then go in and do customizations to it to make it meet your needs. Here is an issues report. And again, this one is showing you count of issues by project, count by severity, and then of course you can see the blurred information at the bottom. This one is even tracking the trend, the status, the priority. You can put any type of report out here that you would like people to have access to. This is a great place for executives, stakeholders who don't want to log into Project Online or quite simply aren't going to. They can see the information here. Now, just to give you another example, I created a second team called PMO. And in PMO, I added more reports. We'll give this just a few seconds to refresh. So when I go to the PMO team and I come up here to reports, I have a series of reports that I can look at. And again, as an executive or a stakeholder, I may not want to see all of these. I may want to break these out so that they're separate. But you can get the idea as to what kind of information people have access to. Again, many of these come with one of our report packs, and we're able to go in and customize them for you as needed. All right, let's jump back over to the PowerPoint. We looked at project sites. We looked at working within Microsoft Teams independently. And then we took a look at working with project sites through Teams to give people more options for access. Here's what I'd love to see you guys do next. First of all, thanks for joining us today. Please take the time to check out our blogs and our webinars. You can get to our blog up here, ppmworks.com, and then you'll be able to follow the trail to get to the blog or the upcoming events, different webinars, on-demand webinars, and things like that. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect with PPM Works on LinkedIn as well. We are trying to update as much as possible with blogs and posts to share information as it is released from Microsoft, and also just to share tips and tricks for various organizations who may be interested or who may already be using Project Online or Teams or Planner or any of the other Office 365 apps. The next blog that I'm sorry, not the next blog. I wrote blog there, but that's not what it is. The next webinar that we have coming up is Project Site Customization Made Easy. That will also be facilitated by yours truly. So if I have not bored you to death over the last 30 or 40 or so minutes, please sign up for that one as well. It's a lot of fun showing you how to go in and add different web parts, add colors for headings to break things up a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier to manage within the project site. All right, thanks again for joining us. Please feel free to get in touch with us, info@ppmworks.com. We would love to hear from you and appreciate your time today.